Thomas Sowell, I mean, he's this brilliant writer. As you say, he came from absolute nothing, and he became one of the great thinkers of the last 50 years or so. But he's an economist. Why is an economist writing about race and culture? And it's interesting because he has this economic perspective, but he can also then see what is not an economic question. And I love on this fairness point, he writes it very clearly, right in the middle of the book. He says, economics is a study of cause and effect, not intentions and hope. He's being very blunt here. He's saying, look, I don't think this is fair all the time. Actually, just before that, he quotes W.E.B. Du Bois, who is a sort of left-wing civil rights leader. He was a socialist. Du Bois writes in 1899, and this is Sowell repeating it, the individual black workman is rated not by his own efficiency, but by the efficiency of a whole group of black fellow workmen, which may often be low. So some few would be promoted, some few would get new places, but this is if racial prejudice were to be dispensed with overnight. Some few would be promoted and everything, but the mass would remain as they are until a younger generation began to try harder, until the idle and discouraged were stimulated, and the whole race lost the omnipresent excuse for failure, prejudice. Whoa, that is tough love from both Du Bois and from Sowell.
But it's also hope in that there's a recognition, because also Thomas Sowell would argue that characteristics of culture are not immutable, that they can change to the positive and they can change to the negative over time, as we've seen. Because around the time that W. Du Bois may have been writing this, there was a time where there was an ascendance in the African-American community, where individuals owned businesses, where there was a lot of quality education happening. Individuals were attending universities. My alma mater, University of Pennsylvania Law School, graduated one of the first African-American women from law school around that time. So this was happening, and there was this culture of, I'm going to succeed because it's important for me, but it's also important for my community to see this being emulated. Now, I think what's happened is that there is a culture that one would argue is not necessarily supporting people who want to strive, because we view that as being in conflict. You're adopting, as when I was growing up, people would say you're trying to be white. And what does that mean necessarily, right? It means that you're embracing a set of cultures and values that don't seem to be reflective of the community that you're supposed to be ascribed to.